What's up, geometry? Welcome back. Today we're going to be reviewing collinearity, so make sure you have a paper, pencil, and a calculator if you'd like to use one. We're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first question says, determine if the following points are collinear, why or why not. So there's a couple different ways that you can do this, but one way that I like to do it is by setting up a table. So we've got 3 points, and remember, if we're checking to see if the points are collinear, so collinear, remember, means same line, then we want to make sure that all 3 points have the same slope in between each one. So I'm going to go ahead and make a table. So let's make a table here. And I'm going to put -3, 7 here, and I'm going to put 2, -11 here. Now, to find the slope, I need to find my change in y over my change in x. So my change in y, so I go from 7 to -11, so that's a jump of 18. So to go from 7 to -11, I'm going down 18. So this is my change in y. Now my change in x, change in x. So I went from -3 to +2, so that went up 5. So that means that for this table, my change in y over my change in x, aka my slope, was -18 over 5. Okay, cool. So now I'm going to make a different table, and I'm going to put 2 of the other points in there. So I'm going to go ahead and put, let's do 2, -11, and 7, -30. So I'm going to check the slope in between these 2 points. So again, I'm going to find my change in y and my change in x. So let's see, my change in y. So to go from 30 or -11 to -30, that went down 19. So remember, this is my change in y. And then my x, to go from 2 to 7, I went up 5. So my change in y over my change in x here is -19 over 5. So now I'm going to check the slopes. The first slope was -18 over 5, and the second slope was -19 over 5. So no, the 3 points are not collinear because the slopes are different. Okay, so now let's take a look at a different kind of asking this question. So let's see, point R is located at 8, -1, and M is located at 5, 5. And we want to find, or at least the question is asking us to find another point that's going to be collinear with R and M. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. I'm going to put the 2 points into a table. And I'm going to put R at 8, -1. I'm going to put that here. And here's my other point. So remember, in order for points to be collinear, they need to have the same slope. So let me find out what my slope is here. Let's find out what my change in y. So my change in y, to go from -1 to +5, I'm actually going up 6. And here, my change in x, to go from 8 to 5, I actually went down 3. Okay, so my slope is change in y over change in x. Are you guys sick of hearing me say that? Change in y over change in x is 6 over -3. And if you're simplifying that, then that just turns into -2. Okay, so if we're trying to find another point that's on the line that R and M are on, the easiest way to do that would just be to continue the pattern. So let's see, another point is, let me continue this pattern here. So 5 plus 6, because I went up 6, is 11. So my another point would be with a y value of 11. And here I'm going to go down 3. 5 minus 3 is 2. So another point that would be on this line is 2, 11. And I could go down even further and find another point. So let's continue that pattern. Remember, my change in y is up 6. So another point would be at 17. My change in x is -3. So 2 minus 3 is -1. And another point would be -1, 17. Now, the reason why I put 8 comma negative 1 towards the middle of the table is because we can also continue the pattern in the opposite direction. So if I'm trying to figure out a point that comes before this, well, I'm going to do the opposite of my change in y. So instead of going down 6, I'm actually going to go, instead of going up 6, I'm actually going to go down 6. So negative 1 minus 6 is negative 7. And I'm going to do the same thing for my change in x. So the opposite of minus 3 is plus 3. So 8, 9, 10, 11. So that would be another point that's on this line with R and M. So here are just 3 possible points. So we came up with 11 comma negative 7. We came up with 2, 11. And we came up with negative 1, 17. And you could honestly continue that pattern as far along down the table as you wanted to, but that's just a couple different ways that you could find another point that's collinear.